Right, Nick, let's talk about the Oklahoma Sooners. We know the Sooners, a great team, a great performance week one, but it seems like they are going the extra mile to get any advantage they can on game day. I'm Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. And Nick, as I alluded to, the Sooners, very interesting strategy. They've taken a new step forward, I think, in the technological department to give themselves an edge on game day. I think this is a really smart move by them. Let's hop into the article and we can talk more about this on the other side. This, of course, is from over on SI.com. It says, half a dozen times or so in Friday's season opener with Temple, the Oklahoma quarterbacks were presented during the ESPN broadcast, huddled on the sideline around graduate assistant Ty Hatcher in his new iPad. Tablets are now ubiquitous in the college football. Every position group has them, watching plays from last series, trying to gain an edge for the next series. In the SEC, teams has an exclusive contract with Apple to use iPads. Other conferences have cut other deals. OU head coach Brent Venables says he likes the logistics of how Friday's game went. He says, I don't think there was any issues, he said during Tuesday's weekly press conference. I didn't look at a whole lot. I watched the game in person. I saw what happened. Somebody gave up penetration in the A-gap. The quarterback had to throw it early or whatever, but it's an excellent resource that everybody has now. And Nick, I think this is great because Oklahoma is utilizing that resource. Really smart move by them. Curious what your thoughts on this are, but before we get to you, Oklahoma fan, in the comment section below, I think it's a really smart move by the Sooners. I think this really gave them a leg up in week one, probably help them out, but will help them out in week two. So let us know, what are your predictions for week two matchup in the comment section below. What do you think the final score of that game will be? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. But Nick, nonetheless, what do you think about these new technological advancements for the Sooners?
So I think there's really two key facts here that point out this story here. One, Coach Venables doesn't like the tech. Two, he understands it's important and will help his team win, so he's going to use it, right? That's what matters. Let's compare Venables' stance with Dabo Swinney, Venables' former boss at Clemson. His stance, Sweeney's stance with the transfer portal. Dabo Swinney doesn't like the transfer portal, so he's not going to use it. What happens? Clemson gets worse very, very quickly. They've quickly fallen out of the top flight college football world, and it doesn't seem like they're going to get back to the top anytime soon. Now let's compare that to Venables, right? Again, doesn't like the tech, doesn't want it like the tablets. He's more of a live guy, feel guy, old school guy. He doesn't like it, but he recognized it will help his team win, especially with the younger players. Obviously, we're dealing with 18, 19-year-olds who, again, 18, 19-year-olds today playing college football were born in 2006 and 2007. Literally, they have not known a universe where the iPod did not exist. I believe the iPhone came out in like 2007 too, the first one, something like that. So there are some freshmen that have not lived in a universe where the iPhone hasn't existed. They are technologically savvy. You could argue they're technologically dependent, which means if you want to win, you got to use tech to help these kids out because they're used to it. Again, Venables, he doesn't like it, but he understands his players do, and it will help them win games. That's what really matters. Great coaches have to be able to understand to put aside their egos, put aside their beliefs to do what's best to help them win games. Nick Saban famously hated the spread offense, hated up tempo. He hated it. He was morally against everything he thought college football should be, but he recognized it would help him win championships. So what did he do? He transitioned to a spread offense, right? Dabo Swinney, corollary, famous, won't use a transfer portal. He hates it. They're going to lose. Coach Venables, despite coming from the Dabo Swinney tree, obviously coached under him at Clemson, has the Nick Saban approach. And I think it's a great sign for the future of Oklahoma that they've got a coach in Venables who we know is smart. We know he's a great defensive mind. We know he's a great recruiter, but he's also with it enough to check his ego a little bit when it comes to making sure everything he does helps his team win. Great move by Oklahoma and Venables here.
Yeah, Nick, and I think Venables, he takes an interesting approach because not only does he not like it, at least when he doesn't like it, he talks about it in just some. And I think the comments he says later in the article are kind of funny. He says, it's now a player's worst nightmare because you no longer have to wait until Sunday film review to get chewed out for a big bust in the play. And he says, you also, another helping hand is you can make things really big. You can zoom in close so you can see things a little bit better, hinting at that he's a little bit more old school, older guy. But I also think his take on how it kind of neutralizes pre-game, film review, all of these things in real time where coaches spend a lot of time analyzing film, looking for tendencies and, formations, movements, anything like that. He says in real time, you can see that thing. So it really gets down to the brass tacks in the game of who is better than who. There's not as much scheming as you can do when you have these tablets in real time to go all like to the sideline and say, hey, this happened. We tried to do this. They neutralized it by doing this. How do we break that down? So I think it's really gonna be almost like the revolver in the Great West, the great equalizer breaks things down. Now it's gonna be the best players on the field are gonna win the game. Trickery and stuff like that is gonna be a little bit more out of the way when these things get all settled and done. But I think overall a great approach by Venables and Co. And I think it's gonna make them even better going forward.